God's chosen one. God has announced major days for you. It's happening. Why are you watching this right now? Why did your finger stop scrolling exactly here, at exactly this moment? And why does something deep in your spirit already know before I even say it that this message was meant for you? God's chosen one. You didn't click this by accident. Heaven has orchestrated this encounter. Here's what's happening in the spirit realm right now. Your name just got announced, not whispered, announced. And the angels are watching to see if you'll recognize the sound of your own calling. Listen carefully. This moment is a divine radio frequency. Only those whose spirits are tuned in can truly hear what's about to be revealed. The others will scroll past, thinking this is just another video. But you stayed, because something in your soul recognized the frequency. There's a reason you've been feeling restless lately. A reason sleep hasn't come easy. A reason you've been sensing that something big is about to shift in your life. That's not anxiety, beloved. That's anticipation. Heaven has been preparing you for this very announcement. Right now, and I mean right this second, God is about to reveal dates that will change everything. Specific days that have been marked in heaven's calendar with your name written beside them. Days when the delays end and divine acceleration begins. But here's the shocking truth most people will never understand. These appointed times come and go whether you're ready or not. They don't wait for perfect circumstances or convenient timing. They arrive when heaven decides. Heaven has decided that your time is now. You see, there are seasons when God whispers, and there are moments when he roars. This is not a whisper. This is heaven's announcement system broadcasting on the frequency of the chosen. If something in your spirit already knows this is for you, if every word I'm speaking is resonating in places you can't even name, then type "I receive" in the comments right now. Don't overthink it. Your spirit knows. And hit that like button, not for me, but for the other chosen ones who might miss this divine appointment if you scroll past without engaging. Your obedience in this small act could be someone else's miracle connection. Before we go any deeper, I want to acknowledge something sacred. Thank you to every single one of you who has supported this message through Super Thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and sow a seed. Not out of obligation, but out of the understanding that kingdom work requires kingdom partnership. In the next few minutes, your life will align with heaven's announcement. Stay, because if you leave now, you may miss the door with your name engraved on it. This is your divine frequency. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. Heaven is speaking. The question is, are you ready to hear your name? Have you ever wondered why certain moments in your life felt charged with divine electricity? Why some conversations, some encounters, some decisions seem to carry the weight of eternity? What if I told you that those weren't accidents, they were appointments? Here's what's happening right now in the courts of heaven. God has taken out his divine calendar, and he's circling 3 specific dates with golden ink: May 14th, May 15th, May 16th. These aren't just dates on your kitchen calendar, beloved. These are spiritual gateways that have been sealed until this very moment. You see, there's something most people don't understand about how heaven operates. God doesn't work in randomness, he works in divine timing. And right now, he's announcing to every chosen one that the season of waiting is officially over. The season of breakthrough has been scheduled. Think about Moses standing before that burning bush in Exodus chapter 3. He thought he was just another day tending sheep in the wilderness. But God had marked that moment, that place, that encounter for transformation. Moses didn't know he was walking toward his destiny until he found himself standing on holy ground. That's exactly where you are right now. You are standing on sacred ground, May 14th, 15th, and 16th. But here's what's breaking my heart, and it should break yours too. How many divine appointments have we missed because we were too busy, too distracted, or too spiritually dull to recognize heaven's timing? How many burning bushes have we walked past because they looked like ordinary moments? Listen to me carefully. These 3 days aren't coming to add to your calendar, they're coming to rewrite your entire timeline. May 14th is marked in heaven as your day of divine revelation. This is when God pulls back the veil and shows you truths that have been hidden. Remember Daniel chapter 2, verse 22. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what lies in darkness, and light dwells with him. This is your day when the confusion ends and divine clarity floods your understanding. May 15. This is your day of supernatural alignment, when the spiritual realm and the physical realm merge in your life like never before. This is when your prayers stop echoing in empty spaces and start manifesting in real time. Isaiah 55:11 promises us, "My word will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire." Your desires and God's will are about to kiss on May 15th. May 16. The beloved, this is your day of divine breakthrough, when walls fall like Jericho, when seas part like the Red Sea, when giants fall like Goliath. This is when impossibilities bow to the authority of heaven operating in your life. Now, let me ask you something that might shake you to your core. What if every prayer you've whispered into your pillow for the past decade, every desperate cry for breakthrough, every silent plea for direction, every tear-soaked petition for healing, what if they've all been collected by heaven and scheduled for delivery on these 3 days? What if your financial breakthrough has been waiting for May 14th? What if your healing has been scheduled for May 15th? What if your family restoration, your ministry launch, your divine connection has been marked on heaven's calendar for May 16th? The enemy wants you to think these are just ordinary days. He wants you to scroll past this message, dismiss this revelation, treat these dates like any other Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Because he knows something you're just beginning to understand. When a chosen one aligns with heaven's timing, hell's strategies crumble. Here's the truth that's going to revolutionize your faith. God doesn't operate in your timeline. He operates in his kairos moments. The Greek word kairos doesn't mean regular time. It means the appointed time, the opportune moment, the season when heaven moves. And right now, heaven is moving on your behalf. You've been asking God when for so long. When will my situation change? When will my breakthrough come? When will I step into my calling? And God has been waiting for this moment to answer you, May 14th, 15th, and 16th. But here's what's going to separate those who experience these divine days from those who miss them entirely: recognition and preparation. You have to recognize that this isn't just another prophetic word. This is a divine summons. And you have to prepare your heart, your mind, your spirit to receive what heaven is about to release. I need you to understand something that could change everything. The next chapter of your life isn't waiting on luck, circumstances, or perfect conditions. It's waiting on alignment. Divine alignment with heaven's predetermined moments of breakthrough. If you feel fire burning in your chest right now, if something in your spirit is leaping as I speak these words, then write 14 to 15 negative 16 in the comments below. You're not just typing numbers. You're echoing heaven's countdown. You're agreeing with God's timeline. You're positioning yourself to receive what he's about to release. But I need to warn you about something. These divine appointments don't wait for convenient timing. They don't postpone themselves because you're not ready. They arrive when heaven decides. Heaven has decided that your time is now. The question isn't whether God is ready to move in your life. The question is, are you ready to move with God? Dear chosen one, let me ask you something that might shake you to your core. How long have you been walking through life with perfect vision in your eyes, but complete blindness in your soul? How many nights have you laid awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling like God has gone silent? How many prayers have you whispered into what felt like empty space, wondering if heaven even remembers your name? Here's what's been happening while you've been questioning. God has been preparing the greatest revelation of your lifetime, and He's scheduled it for Wednesday, May 14th. But this isn't going to happen the way you think. On May 14th, God will not speak in thunder that shakes the earth. He won't write messages across the sky or send angels with scrolls. No, He's going to do something far more intimate, far more personal. He's going to whisper directly into your subconscious mind, like a divine spotlight piercing through decades of spiritual fog. You see, your conscious mind, the part that worries about bills, analyzes every decision, doubts every promise that mind has been too noisy for God to penetrate. It's been cluttered with the world's chaos, filled with other people's opinions, crowded with fear. But your subconscious? That's where God does His deepest work. Think about it. When did Samuel first hear God's voice? In the quiet of the temple, in the dead of night, when his conscious mind was at rest. 1 Samuel 3:10 tells us, "The Lord came and stood there, calling as at the other times, 'Samuel, Samuel.' Then Samuel said, 'Speak, for your servant is listening.'" That's exactly what's going to happen to you on May 14th. While you sleep, while you pray, while you're simply going about your day, God is going to download revelations directly into the depths of your spirit. Truths you've been searching for your entire life will suddenly become crystal clear. The pieces of your purpose that never made sense will click into place like a divine puzzle finally being solved. But here's what most people don't understand about divine revelation. It doesn't come as information, it comes as transformation. You won't just know something new, you'll become someone new. Every question that has haunted you, why did I go through that pain? What's my real purpose? When will my breakthrough come? These questions won't need answers anymore, because on May 14th, God will give you something better than answers. He'll give you divine clarity that makes the questions themselves dissolve. Psalm 119-130 declares, "The unfolding of your words gives light. It gives understanding to the simple." This is your day of unfolding, chosen one. This is when the veil gets ripped away. Remember that moment when you almost gave up, when the weight of disappointment nearly crushed your faith, when you wondered if God had forgotten about you completely. God's answer to that moment was scheduled for May 14th. He knew you'd need this revelation on this exact day, at this exact time in your life. You've been experiencing what I call spiritual myopia. You can see what's right in front of you, but you can't see what God is building in the distance. On May 14th, your spiritual vision gets corrected. It's like divine eye surgery for your soul. But here's the part that will shock you. The reason you've been walking in confusion isn't because God hasn't been speaking. It's because He's been speaking in a frequency your conscious mind couldn't decode. All those coincidences, all those random encounters, all those moments when something inside you said, "Pay attention," that was God speaking in code, preparing you for this day of revelation. Isaiah 55:8-9 reminds us, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." On May 14th, you're going to understand God's thoughts. Not all of them that would overwhelm any human mind, but enough to see clearly for the first time in years. The mental fog that's been clouding your judgment, gone. The spiritual confusion that's made you second-guess every decision, lifted. The unanswered prayers that made you wonder if God was listening. You'll understand why the delay was necessary. This is the day every why begins to dissolve, not with answers, but with divine clarity that makes answers unnecessary. So here's what I need you to do right now before May 14th arrives. Pause, take a deep breath, and ask God this simple prayer. Reveal what's hidden in me. Don't ask for what you want. Ask for what's already there, waiting to be unveiled. Because, chosen one, you haven't been waiting for God to give you something new. You've been waiting for God to reveal what He already placed inside you before you were born. Jeremiah 1-5 confirms this. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. May 14th is your appointed day of remembering who you really are. But here's the urgency you need to understand. Divine revelations come on God's schedule, not yours. They arrive at appointed times whether you're ready or not. And if you're not spiritually positioned to receive what God wants to download on May 14th, you could miss the greatest breakthrough of your lifetime. The question isn't whether God will speak. The question is, will you be listening with your spirit when He does? Because what happens on May 14th sets the foundation for everything that follows. And what follows, dear chosen one, will blow your mind. But wait, something extraordinary happens on Thursday, May 15th. Something that will shatter every excuse you've been carrying about why your breakthrough hasn't come yet. This is the day when heaven stops being a distant concept and becomes your immediate reality. When the spiritual realm that you've prayed to, cried to, and pleaded with for years finally steps down and says, "Enough waiting. Today we manifest." Listen to me carefully, chosen one. How many times have you felt your prayers bouncing off the ceiling? How many nights have you wondered if God actually hears you? How many mornings have you woken up thinking, maybe I'm just not one of the ones He answers? May 15th is your answer. This isn't another day of hoping. This is the day of happening. The day when that impossible situation in your life meets the impossible power of an unlimited God. And when those two forces collide, miracles don't just become possible, they become inevitable. You see, there's something about divine timing that most people never understand. God doesn't just work on our schedule, He works on His schedule. And His schedule says that May 15th is your day for the convergence, the day when what you've been declaring in faith finally downloads into your reality. Remember Peter, that weathered fisherman who worked all night and caught absolutely nothing. His nets came up empty, his boat remained bare. His hope was sinking faster than his fishing line. Sound familiar? Maybe you've been fishing in empty waters for years, casting your prayers into what feels like an endless ocean of silence, working harder than anyone around you but coming up with nothing to show for it. But then Jesus spoke one word to Peter, just one word: try again. And when Peter obeyed that divine instruction, his boat almost sank under the weight of the blessing. The nets were so full they began to break. The catch was so massive he had to call for help. In one moment, his entire reality shifted from scarcity to abundance. That's exactly what's going to happen to you on May 15th. This is the day when divine command meets physical result. When heaven's yes manifests in your bank account, in your body, in your relationships, in your circumstances. When the breakthrough you've been praying for stops being a prayer request and becomes your testimony. But here's what's going to blow your mind. You're going to feel it happening. You will feel it in your body. Vibrations in your chest. Energy in your spine coursing through you like electricity. A warmth, a lightness, a sudden surge of hope that you haven't felt in years. It's not hype, it's heaven. It's the physical manifestation of spiritual transformation. Your body is going to respond to what your spirit has been crying out for. Because when God moves, He doesn't just touch your circumstances, He transforms your entire being. You're going to feel lighter, stronger, more alive than you have in decades. Some of you right now are thinking, but you don't know my situation. You don't know how long I've been waiting. You don't know how many times I've been disappointed. You're right. I don't know your specific story, but I know your God. And your God specializes in impossible situations. He thrives in dead-end circumstances. He shows up strongest when everything looks weakest. Have you ever been told, "It'll never happen"? Have doctors given you reports that crushed your hope? Have financial advisors shown you numbers that made your dreams seem impossible? Have people looked at your age and said your time has passed? If you've ever been told, "It'll never happen," raise your hand in the spirit right now, because May 15th will prove them wrong. This is the day when medical reports get rewritten, when bank accounts get supernatural deposits, when estranged children call out of nowhere, when opportunities that seemed dead and buried suddenly resurrect with new life. But understand this, dear one, this level of breakthrough requires a different level of faith. This isn't passive hoping, this is active believing. This is sowing into the moment that's about to define your future. Right now, as these words are reaching your spirit, you have an opportunity to partner with heaven in a way that most people never will. Not because we need your support, but because your future demands it. This is the kind of seed that shifts seasons, the kind of investment that aligns you with divine acceleration. When you sow into a prophetic moment, you're not just giving money, you're declaring that you believe what God is about to do is bigger than what you can see right now. You're saying, "I'm not waiting to see the miracle before I believe. I'm believing so the miracle can manifest." This is your moment to move from the sidelines into the center of God's activity, to stop being a spectator of other people's breakthroughs and become the testimony that others point to. Because something is stirring in the spiritual atmosphere right now. Can you feel it? That electric energy building, that sense of anticipation that makes your heart beat a little faster. That's not excitement, that's recognition. Your spirit recognizing that the moment you've been prepared for your entire life is finally here. But what happens next on the final day of this divine trilogy will transform everything you thought you knew about God's power in your life. And now we arrive at Friday, May 16, the crescendo of heaven's symphony in your life. This is not just another day, this is the day when everything you've endured, everything you've sacrificed, everything you've believed for in the dark seasons finally explodes into the light. You want to know what makes this day different from every other Friday you've lived through? On May 16th, God doesn't just answer your prayers, He overwhelms you with answers you didn't even know you needed. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. How long have you been carrying burdens that weren't meant to be permanent? How many nights have you gone to bed wondering if breakthrough was just a beautiful lie you told yourself to survive another day? How many times have you looked at your bank account, your health reports, your empty phone, and whispered, "God, are you even listening?" He's been listening. And on May 16th, He responds. This is your divine reversal day. Like Esther stepping before the king when protocol said she should die mute, instead receiving favor that saved a nation. Like Moses stretching his staff over waters that had never parted, watching the impossible become a highway. Like Joseph, pulled from a prison cell straight into Pharaoh's palace, becoming second in command in a single day. Your reversal is coming with the same biblical force. But let me tell you what's really happening in the spirit realm on May 16th. God is about to release what I call the five-fold breakthrough. 5 specific areas where divine intervention will shatter every limitation that's held you captive. First, your finances. I'm talking about money flowing from directions you never expected. That inheritance you thought was lost, it's being restored. That business idea you shelved because you lacked resources, the funding is coming. That debt that's been choking your dreams, cancelled. Ecclesiastes 2:26 says, "To the person who pleases Him, God gives wisdom, knowledge, and happiness. But to the sinner, He gives the task of gathering and storing up wealth, to hand it over to the one who pleases God. On May 16th, wealth that's been stored up in the wrong hands gets transferred to the right ones, yours. But here's what's going to shock you. It won't come through the traditional channels you've been watching. God specializes in unexpected streams. That phone call you're not expecting. That opportunity that seems too good to be true. That person who suddenly remembers they owe you a favor. Get ready. Second, your health. Some of you have been carrying diagnoses like death sentences. You've been told, learn to live with it, or there's nothing more we can do. But on May 16th, the great physician overrules every earthly verdict. Jeremiah 30:17 declares, "But I will restore you to health and heal your wounds." That pain that's been your unwelcome companion for years, it's about to pack its bags. That energy you thought was gone forever, it's returning with interest. I'm talking about medical reports that make doctors scratch their heads, test results that defy explanation, strength returning to bodies that felt like they were shutting down. Your healing isn't gradual, it's sudden, complete, and undeniable. Third, your relationships. The phone is about to ring. That estranged child who hasn't spoken to you in years, they're picking up the phone. That friendship that ended in hurt and misunderstanding, restoration is coming. That loneliness you've carried like a heavy coat, it's being replaced with connections so divine, you'll wonder how you ever lived without them. But here's the beautiful part. God isn't just restoring what was broken, He's bringing new covenant relationships into your life. People who will celebrate your calling, not compete with it. Friends who will pray with you, not prey on you. Ruth 1:16 says, "Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay." Your Ruth and Naomi relationships are being activated. Fourth, your spiritual power. On May 16th, something awakens in your prayer life that you've never experienced before. You'll open your mouth to pray and hear a voice you didn't know you had. Authority will flow through your words like fire. When you speak, heaven responds immediately. When you pray for others, breakthrough happens in real time. This isn't about volume, it's about authority. It's about praying with the confidence of someone who knows they have God's ear. 1 John 5:14 promises, "This is the confidence we have in approaching God, that if we ask anything according to His will, He hears us." You're about to discover what it means to pray in perfect alignment with heaven's will. Fifth, your leadership. The season of being invisible is over. For too long, you've been the best-kept secret in the kingdom. Your wisdom unheard, your influence untapped, your voice silenced by circumstances or fear. But on May 16th, God positions you where your light can't be hidden anymore. People will start seeking your counsel. Opportunities to lead will multiply. Your influence will expand beyond your immediate circle. Matthew 5:14 says, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden." Your hill moment is here. And here's the aha moment that will change everything. The very chains that held you down are becoming the steps you now climb up. Every rejection that broke your heart, it was steering you away from wrong connections toward divine appointments. Every closed door that frustrated you, it was protecting you from settling for less than God's best. Every delay that tested your patience, it was positioning you for perfect timing. You're not just getting breakthrough, you're becoming breakthrough for others who are watching your story unfold. So here's my question for you. Are you ready to stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being a victor through Christ? Because May 16th isn't asking for your permission, it's demanding your participation. Listen to me, chosen one. The person sitting here right now, listening to these words, that version of you is about to become a memory. A beautiful, necessary memory of who you had to be before you became who you were always meant to be. You're no longer surviving, you're reigning. Let me paint you a picture of the transformation that's already begun in the spirit realm. Before May 14th, You woke up every morning carrying yesterday's weight. You checked your phone hoping for good news, but bracing for disappointment. You prayed prayers that felt like they bounced off the ceiling. You smiled at people while your soul was screaming for breakthrough. That person, that beautiful, faithful, enduring persona no longer exists. The Bible tells us in 2 Corinthians 5:17, "If anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come, the old has gone, the new is here." But here's what most people miss about this verse. It's not talking about someday. It's talking about the moment you step into divine alignment. And for you, that moment is now. After these 3 days, you won't just think differently, you'll breathe differently. The anxiety that used to grip your chest at 3 a.m., gone. The confusion that made every decision feel like a gamble, replaced with crystal clear knowing. The weariness that made you wonder if God had forgotten your address, transformed into supernatural energy that makes others ask, "What happened to you?" You see, God doesn't just change circumstances, He changes natures. And your nature is about to shift from survivor to sovereign. Picture this. It's May 17th. You wake up and something is fundamentally different. Not just in your environment, in your essence. You look in the mirror and the eyes staring back at you carry authority you've never seen before. When you speak, there's weight in your words. When you walk into a room, the atmosphere shifts. When you pray, heaven responds immediately. This isn't fantasy, beloved. This is prophecy. The person you were before these divine days was like David tending sheep in the field, anointed but not yet activated, called but not yet crowned. But after the prophet Samuel poured that oil, everything changed. The same spirit that empowered David to defeat Goliath is the same spirit that's about to empower you to defeat every giant that's been standing in your way. But here's the shocking truth that's going to hit you like lightning. You weren't delayed. You were being aligned for the announcement. Every closed door was positioning you for the right door. Every no was protecting you from a yes that would have been too small for your destiny. Every moment you felt forgotten was actually God hiding you, preparing you in the secret place for public promotion. Think about Joseph in Genesis 41. One day he's a prisoner, forgotten in a dungeon. The next day he's second in command of Egypt. What changed overnight? Not Joseph's character that had been refined in the darkness. What changed was the timing. Pharaoh had a dream that only Joseph could interpret. The moment had arrived. Your moment has arrived. After these 3 days, you won't be the person who asks, "When will it be my turn?" You'll be the person others look to and ask, "How did you rise so fast?" And you'll smile with the quiet confidence of someone who knows it wasn't fast at all, it was right on time. The confusion that's been clouding your mind, on May 14th, it lifts like morning fog. The doors that seemed permanently locked. On May 15th, they swing wide open. The miracles you've been believing for, on May 16th, they manifest before your eyes. But here's what I need you to understand. This transformation isn't just about you getting blessed, it's about you becoming a blessing. God isn't elevating you so you can sit in comfort. He's positioning you to be a conduit of His power in the earth. After these days, people will be drawn to you without understanding why. They'll sense something different in your presence. Children will gravitate toward you. Animals will respond to your energy. Even your enemies will find themselves strangely respectful in your presence. This is what happens when heaven marks you for elevation. You don't just get promoted, you get anointed for influence. Isaiah 61:3 says God will give you a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. But notice it doesn't say He'll add these things to your life. It says He'll give them instead of what you're carrying now. The ashes of disappointment, they're being replaced with a crown of beauty. The mourning over dreams delayed, it's being replaced with the oil of joy. The despair that whispered, maybe it's not meant to be. It's being replaced with a garment of praise. You're not getting a makeover, beloved. You're getting a complete reconstruction from the inside out. By May 17th, when people ask you what happened, you won't need a long explanation. You'll simply say, God kept his appointment. Because that's what these 3 days are, divine appointments that have been scheduled in heaven since before you were born. The question isn't whether this transformation will happen. The question is whether you'll recognize it when it does. Will you embrace the new you, or will you try to squeeze back into the old clothes of your former identity? Because there's no going back to who you were before heaven announced your name. Are you ready to step into the person God has been preparing you to become? Chosen one, let me ask you something that will shake you to your core. What if the revelation you received on May 14th through 16th wasn't just for you? What if God didn't visit you just to bless you, but to commission you? What if every divine encounter, every spiritual breakthrough, every moment of clarity wasn't the destination but the preparation? Here's what most people don't understand about divine encounters. God doesn't waste revelations on spectators. He reserves them for messengers. Think about this for a moment. When God appeared to Moses in that burning bush, it wasn't a casual meet and greet. It wasn't spiritual entertainment. The fire wasn't just to get Moses' attention, it was to ignite his assignment. God didn't say, Moses, enjoy this beautiful moment. He said, Moses, I'm sending you to Pharaoh. You see, the same God who revealed himself to you in those sacred days didn't stop with the encounter. He's now handing you something far more valuable than personal blessing. He's handing you the keys to others' freedom. But here's where it gets uncomfortable, and I need you to face this truth head on. How many divine encounters have you received and kept to yourself? How many times has God downloaded revelation into your spirit, and you've treated it like a personal treasure instead of a public trust? I'm going to say something that might sting, but it needs to be said. Every unanswered prayer around you, every person still trapped in the very prison God delivered you from, every soul crying out for the breakthrough you've already received, their freedom might be waiting on your obedience. You think God gave you that vision just so you could feel good about yourself? You think he broke those chains in your life just so you could walk in personal liberty? No, beloved. God didn't just knock on your door, he handed you the master key to others' cells. Remember when Jesus healed the man with the withered hand? He didn't tell him, go home and enjoy your new hand. He said, stretch it out. Why? Because healing isn't just for the healed, it's for the witnesses who need to see that God still moves. Your breakthrough on May 15th, when the spiritual and material realms converged in your life, that wasn't just about your bills getting paid or your health being restored. That was God demonstrating through your life that he's still the God of impossibilities. But demonstration without proclamation is just a private party. Let me tell you what's happening in the spirit realm right now. There are people within 50 miles of where you're sitting who are facing the exact same battle you just won. They're crying the same tears you dried. They're asking the same questions you just got answered. And heaven is watching to see if you'll be the answer to their prayers. But here's the part that should terrify you. God's commissioning always comes with a timeline. When he sent Jonah to Nineveh, there was urgency. When he sent Esther before the king, there was such a time as this moment. Your commission isn't open-ended, it has an expiration date. The revelation of May 14th through 16th wasn't just a blessing, it was a summons. A divine transfer of purpose from heaven to earth, from God's heart to your hands, from your personal victory to public ministry. You want to know why some people receive breakthrough after breakthrough, but never seem to find lasting fulfillment? Because they keep consuming God's blessings instead of distributing them. They become spiritual hoarders instead of heavenly distributors. Listen carefully, because this next statement will determine whether you walk in continued elevation or plateau in spiritual mediocrity. The level of your next breakthrough is directly connected to how faithfully you steward the breakthrough you've already received. God is looking for people who understand that every divine encounter comes with a delivery address. That burning bush experience you had, it came with a Pharaoh's address. That Red Sea moment in your finances, it came with a wilderness full of people who need to see God's provision. That healing in your body, it came with a hospital full of people who need to hear your testimony. But here's what breaks my heart. Most chosen ones treat their commissioning like a suggestion instead of a command. They negotiate with God about their assignment. They ask for more confirmation when God has already spoken clearly. They want to know the entire plan before they take the first step. Moses had the audacity to ask God, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh?" And God's response wasn't, "You're amazing, Moses." It was, "I will be with you." The qualification for divine commissioning isn't your ability, it's God's availability. Right now, at this very moment, there are divine appointments waiting for your arrival. There are conversations that won't happen until you show up. There are breakthroughs that won't manifest until you open your mouth. There are miracles on hold until you step into your assignment. The same power that transformed your life during those 3 sacred days is now waiting to flow through your life to transform others. But it requires one thing from you: obedience to the commission. You can't keep living like your blessing was the finish line when God intended it to be the starting gun. You can't keep celebrating yesterday's victory when today's assignment is calling your name. So here's my question for you, and I need you to answer this honestly in your spirit. What are you going to do with what God has given you? Are you going to steward it or squander it? Are you going to be a reservoir or a river? Write this in the comments. I am sent. That's not a phrase. It's your new assignment. It's your response to heaven's commissioning. It's your declaration that you understand the weight of what just happened in your life. But if you're still hesitating, if you're still wrestling with whether this message is really for you, then let me ask you this. What if the person who's supposed to receive their breakthrough through your obedience is running out of time? Look at yourself right now. Really look. Do you see what I see? You've changed, and the world will see it. Something has shifted in your spirit over these past months, hasn't it? You can't put your finger on it, but there's been a divine disturbance in your soul. You've been sensing things differently, feeling things more deeply, responding to life from a place you didn't even know existed within you. That's not coincidence, beloved. That's confirmation. God has announced who you really are. Not just chosen, but charged. For too long, you've been walking around with heaven's authority coursing through your veins, while living like you're still waiting for permission. You've been carrying the king's DNA while accepting peasant portions. You've been housing miracles while settling for mediocrity, but something fundamental has shifted. You were hidden. Now you're heralded. Think about David for a moment. Picture this young man in the fields of Bethlehem, tending sheep while his brothers prepared for war. When the prophet Samuel arrived at Jesse's house looking for the next king of Israel, David wasn't even invited to the ceremony. His own father forgot about him. But here's what Jesse didn't understand, and here's what you need to grasp right now. David was already king the moment Samuel's oil touched his head. The palace didn't make him royalty. The anointing did. 1 Samuel 16:13 says, "So Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed David in the presence of his brothers. And from that day on the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon David." From that day on, not from the day he defeated Goliath, not from the day he entered the palace, from the day he was anointed. You were waiting. Now you're walking. Do you understand what this means for you? You don't become who God called you to be when circumstances finally align. You don't step into your destiny when people finally recognize your worth. You are who God says you are right now, in this moment, regardless of what your bank account looks like, regardless of who's supporting you, regardless of how many doors have been slammed in your face. The anointing makes you king before the crown ever touches your head. But here's where most people miss it. Here's where they forfeit their breakthrough right at the threshold of their blessing. They keep waiting for external validation of an internal reality. You were seeking, now you're seen. Listen to me carefully, and I need you to really hear this because your future depends on it. You will never walk in the fullness of your calling until you stop looking for earthly confirmation of heavenly assignment. David spent years running from King Saul, hiding in caves, gathering outcasts and misfits around him. Do you think for one moment he questioned whether he was really chosen? Do you think he sat in those dark caverns wondering if Samuel made a mistake? Because when God announces who you are, the announcement doesn't come with an expiration date. You've changed, and the world will see it. Here's what's happening to you right now that you might not even realize. Your spiritual frequency has shifted. You're operating on a different wavelength than you were 6 months ago. The things that used to devastate you barely register now. The approval you used to desperately seek feels less important. The fear that used to paralyze you is losing its grip. That's not personal growth, dear one. That's divine promotion. Romans 8:30 tells us, "And those he predestined, he also called. Those he called, he also justified. Those he justified, he also glorified." Past tense. Glorified, not will glorify. Glorified. It's already done in heaven's courtroom. You were hidden. Now you're heralded. But let me ask you something that's going to shake you to your core. If God has already announced your promotion in heaven, why are you still living like you're waiting for earth's approval? Why are you still asking people for permission to be who God already declared you to be? Why are you still shrinking back when every fiber of your spiritual DNA is screaming at you to step forward? You were waiting. Now you're walking. The enemy has spent years convincing you that you're not ready, not qualified, not equipped. He's whispered lies about your past, your mistakes, your failures. He's tried to make you believe that your anointing has an asterisk next to it. But here's what hell doesn't want you to discover. Your authority doesn't come from your perfection, it comes from your position. And your position was established before you were even born. Jeremiah 1-5 declares, "Before I formed you in the womb I knew you. Before you were born I set you apart. Set you apart, separated you, marked you, charged you with heaven's assignment. You were seeking, now you're seen. It doesn't matter who recognizes you on earth. You've been recorded in heaven." David killed bears and lions in private before he ever faced Goliath in public. Your private victories have been preparing you for your public platform. Your hidden battles have been developing your visible breakthrough. You've changed, and the world will see it. So stop waiting for someone to call your name. Stop hoping for an invitation to the table. Stop looking for validation from people who couldn't see your value when you were desperate for their approval. Your season of hiding is over. Your time of obscurity has ended. The same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead dwells in you. The same power that parted the Red Sea flows through your prayers. The same authority that spoke worlds into existence lives in your declarations. You were hidden, now you're heralded. You were waiting, now you're walking. You were seeking, now you're seen. But here's the question that will determine everything about your next chapter. Now that you know who you are, what are you going to do about it? But here's where your story takes a turn that will leave you breathless. You thought God was just healing you. You thought this was just about your breakthrough, your restoration, your victory. But chosen one, what if I told you that everything you've endured, every sleepless night, every tear you've cried, every moment you felt abandoned, wasn't just preparing you to be healed? What if it was preparing you to heal others? You see, there's a difference between being blessed and being anointed. There's a difference between receiving a miracle and becoming one. And right now, in this very moment, God is not just lifting you out of your valley, He's positioning you on a mountain where others can see your light from miles away. Look at your hands right now. Go ahead, look at them. Those hands that trembled in prayer during your darkest hour. Those hands that wiped away tears no one else saw. Those same hands are about to carry healing power that will change lives. Because God doesn't just deliver you from the pit, He makes you a ladder for others still trapped in the darkness. You rise. Not just for you. You rise. For the ones still bound. You rise. So others can stand on your testimony. This is the moment everything shifts. This isn't just personal victory anymore. This is generational impact. This is kingdom authority being downloaded into your spirit right now. Can you feel it? That weight settling on your shoulders? That's not pressure, beloved. That's purpose. Think about Joseph. 17 years old when his brothers betrayed him, sold into slavery by the very people who should have protected him, falsely accused, forgotten in prison, left to rot while everyone moved on with their lives. But God was positioning him. Every betrayal was building his character. Every injustice was developing his compassion. Every year in that cell was preparing him to feed nations. And when Pharaoh finally called his name, Joseph didn't just walk into his blessing, he walked into his assignment. The same hands that his brothers had bound in chains, those were the hands that would later feed them during the famine. Not to punish them, not to prove a point, but to provide for them. You rise. Not for revenge, but for restoration. You rise. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove God faithful. You rise because someone else's miracle is wrapped up in your obedience. Here's what's happening in the spirit realm right now. God is taking every scar on your heart and turning it into a certificate of authenticity. Your wounds aren't weaknesses, they're credentials. Every place you've been broken is now a place you can bring healing. Every area where the enemy attacked you is now territory you can reclaim for others. Your scars didn't ruin your story, they certified it. Think about it. When Jesus rose from the dead, He didn't come back without His scars. He could have appeared in a perfect, unmarked body, but He chose to keep the nail prints in His hands, the wound in His side. Why? Because those scars were proof of His love. They were evidence of what He'd overcome. They were the very thing that convinced Thomas to believe. Your scars are doing the same thing. They're not something to hide anymore. They're something to display with holy pride. Because every mark tells a story of God's faithfulness. Every broken place that He's mended is now a testimony that He can mend anyone. You've been wondering why the healing took so long. You've been asking why God allowed you to walk through that valley for years instead of minutes. Here's why. He wasn't just healing you, He was preparing you to heal others. He wasn't just setting you free, He was making you a freedom fighter. The same fire that burned in Moses' bush, that fire that caught his attention, that fire that commissioned him to deliver a nation, that fire is burning in you right now. Do you feel it? That holy flame rising in your chest, that's not excitement, that's activation. You rise. Because liberation is your new language. You rise. Because breakthrough is your new business. You rise. Because the captives are waiting for their deliverer. Look around you. Look at your family, your community, your workplace. How many people are walking around with the same wounds you used to carry? How many are fighting the same battles you've already won? How many are lost in the same darkness you've already escaped? You are no longer just a survivor. You are now a liberator. You are no longer just healed. You are now anointed to heal. You are no longer just blessed. You are now commissioned to be a blessing. The authority you carry now isn't earned, it's inherited. The power flowing through you isn't manufactured, it's supernatural. The anointing resting on your life isn't temporary, it's eternal. If you know you're rising, if you can feel that fire burning in your bones, comment, "I carry the fire right now." Because the same fire that burned in Moses' bush, the fire that couldn't be consumed, the fire that spoke with the voice of the Almighty, that fire burns in you now. But here's the question that will determine everything. What are you going to do with this fire? Chosen one, as we reach the end of this sacred encounter, I need you to hold on to these truths with everything you have. God has announced major days for your life, not sometime in the distant future, but right now, in this very season. You are not walking through random circumstances. You are walking through divine appointments that have been scheduled in heaven's calendar since before time began. Remember this: your pain has been preparing you for purpose. Your scars have certified your story. And the fire burning in your spirit right now is the same fire that burned in Moses' bush, unquenchable, unstoppable, and undeniably divine. You don't just carry healing, you carry the authority to heal others. You don't just possess breakthrough, you possess the power to break chains off those still bound. But here's what I need you to understand with absolute certainty: you are not walking this path alone. Not for one single moment. The same God who parted the Red Sea, who made the sun stand still, who raised Christ from the dead, is working behind the scenes of your life right now. Even when you can't see his hand, even when his voice seems quiet, even when the breakthrough feels delayed, he is there. He is moving. He is fighting battles on your behalf that you'll never even know about. And beyond that, you have a family here. A community of believers who understand your journey because they've walked similar paths. We're not just viewers watching a video, we're warriors standing together in faith. When you comment below, when you share your testimony, when you ask for prayer, you're connecting with thousands of hearts that beat with the same hope, the same faith, the same fire that burns in you. So let me ask you this: are you ready to step into the fullness of what God has called you to be? Are you ready to let your light shine so brightly that others can find their way out of darkness? Are you ready to carry the fire? Now, I need you to do something powerful. In the comments below, share what God spoke to your heart during this message. Don't hold back. Your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. If you're believing for breakthrough in a specific area, let us know so this entire community can stand with you in prayer. If you felt that fire ignite in your spirit, tell us about it. We want to celebrate every victory, pray through every struggle, and remind each other that we are not alone in this journey. And please, share this message. There's someone in your life, a family member, a friend, a co-worker, who needs to hear that their major days are coming. They need to know that they're chosen, that they're not forgotten, and that their breakthrough is closer than they think. When you share this video, you're not just spreading content, you're spreading hope. If this message has blessed you, if you want to be part of this community of chosen ones who are rising together, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because this is just the beginning. God has so much more to reveal, so much more breakthrough to release, so many more major days to announce over your life. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey today. Thank you for being obedient to God's voice that led you here. Thank you for being part of a movement that's not just about personal breakthrough, but about transforming the world around us with the love and power of Christ. Your major days have been announced. Your fire has been lit. Since before time began. Remember this: your pain has been preparing you for purpose. Your scars have certified your story. And the fire burning in your spirit right now is the same fire that burned in Moses' bush, unquenchable, unstoppable, and undeniably divine. You don't just carry healing, you carry the authority to heal others. You don't just possess breakthrough, you possess the power to break chains off those still bound. But here's what I need you to understand with absolute certainty: you are not walking this path alone. Not for one single moment. The same God who parted the Red Sea, who made the sun stand still, who raised Christ from the dead, is working behind the scenes of your life right now. Even when you can't see his hand, even when his voice seems quiet, even when the breakthrough feels delayed, he is there, he is moving, he is fighting battles on your behalf that you'll never even know about. And beyond that, you have a family here, a community of believers who understand your journey because they've walked similar paths. We're not just viewers watching a video, we're warriors standing together in faith. When you comment below, when you share your testimony, when you ask for prayer, you're connecting with thousands of hearts that beat with the same hope, the same faith, the same fire that burns in you. So let me ask you this. Are you ready to step into the fullness of what God has called you to be? Are you ready to let your light shine so brightly that others can find their way out of darkness? Are you ready to carry the fire? Now, I need you to do something powerful. In the comments below, share what God spoke to your heart during this message. Don't hold back. Your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. If you're believing for breakthrough in a specific area, let us know so this entire community can stand with you in prayer. If you felt that fire ignite in your spirit, tell us about it. We want to celebrate every victory, pray through every struggle, and remind each other that we are not alone in this journey. And please, share this message. There's someone in your life, a family member, a friend, a co-worker, who needs to hear that their major days are coming. They need to know that they're chosen, that they're not forgotten, and that their breakthrough is closer than they think. When you share this video, you're not just spreading content, you're spreading hope. If this message has blessed you, if you want to be part of this community of chosen ones who are rising together, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because this is just the beginning. God has so much more to reveal, so much more breakthrough to release, so many more major days to announce over your life. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey today. Thank you for being obedient to God's voice that led you here. Thank you for being part of a movement that's not just about personal breakthrough, but about transforming the world around us with the love and power of Christ. Your major days have been announced. Your fire has been lit. Your rise has begun. Now go, and let the world see what happens when a chosen one walks in their full authority. The best is yet to come, since before time began. Remember this, your pain has been preparing you for purpose. Your scars have certified your story. And the fire burning in your spirit right now is the same fire that burned in Moses' bush, unquenchable, unstoppable, and undeniably divine. You don't just carry healing, you carry the authority to heal others. You don't just possess breakthrough, you possess the power to break chains off those still bound. But here's what I need you to understand with absolute certainty: you are not walking this path alone. Not for one single moment. The same God who parted the Red Sea, who made the sun stand still, who raised Christ from the dead, is working behind the scenes of your life right now. Even when you can't see his hand, even when his voice seems quiet, even when the breakthrough feels delayed, he is there, he is moving, he is fighting battles on your behalf that you'll never even know about. And beyond that, you have a family here. A community of believers who understand your journey because they've walked similar paths. We're not just viewers watching a video, we're warriors standing together in faith. When you comment below, when you share your testimony, when you ask for prayer, you're connecting with thousands of hearts that beat with the same hope, the same faith, the same fire that burns in you. So let me ask you this. Are you ready to step into the fullness of what God has called you to be? Are you ready to let your light shine so brightly that others can find their way out of darkness? Are you ready to carry the fire? Now, I need you to do something powerful. In the comments below, share what God spoke to your heart during this message. Don't hold back. Your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. If you're believing for breakthrough in a specific area, let us know so this entire community can stand with you in prayer. If you felt that fire ignite in your spirit, tell us about it. We want to celebrate every victory, pray through every struggle, and remind each other that we are not alone in this journey. And please, share this message. There's someone in your life, a family member, a friend, a co-worker, who needs to hear that their major days are coming. They need to know that they're chosen, that they're not forgotten, and that their breakthrough is closer than they think. When you share this video, you're not just spreading content, you're spreading hope. If this message has blessed you, if you want to be part of this community of chosen ones who are rising together, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because this is just the beginning. God has so much more to reveal, so much more breakthrough to release, so many more major days to announce over your life. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey today. Thank you for being obedient to God's voice that led you here. Thank you for being part of a movement that's not just about personal breakthrough, but about transforming the world around us with the love and power of Christ. Your major days have been announced. Your fire has been lit. Your rise has begun. Now go, and let the world see what happens when a chosen one walks in their full authority. The best is yet to come.